the Sony 16-35mm F4 and the newer Tamron 17-28mm F2.8. These are the two lenses that we're breaking down today, looking at them in detail and comparing them to figure out which one's going to be best for you. Let's go! So once again today, we're going head to head. The newer Tamron 17-28mm F2.8 and the tried and tested Sony FE 16-35mm F4. Here's some specs on both to get you started. And if you guys are new here and you like this video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. So starting off, let's have a look at the size of these lenses. And they're actually very similar in size and weight, making them both great for travel and video work. They're both about 4 inches long, and the Sony measures about a 1/4 inch wider. You will notice a bit of a difference in the weight of these two lenses, with the Sony weighing about 100 grams more. The Sony does extend throughout the zoom range, making it just a tiny bit longer at full extension than the Tamron. As far as the size category goes, they're both completely reasonable, but I will give a slight edge to the Tamron, just for the weight difference and overall balance of the lens. So when it comes to the build and features of these two lenses, they are both well made. The Tamron, you can tell, is just a cheaper lens with a plastic construction, whereas the Sony is made mostly of metal, and one of the biggest differences is that the Sony is image stabilized, where the Tamron is not. Also, of course, the Sony has a wider focal range from 16 to 35, whereas the Tamron is a bit limited at 17 to 28, and this for some people may be a deal breaker. Another thing to note is that the Sony does extend as you zoom, and the Tamron's overall length does not change, but its front element does go up and down, which for me is a little bit worrying as it might open it up to moisture and dust getting in, and this wasn't an issue on the 28 to 75, so it's a bit curious. So when it comes to the build and features of these two lenses, Sony's the clear winner. Now let's have a look at performance. Both of these lenses are great performers with just a few exceptions. When looking at the autofocus, both of them are nearly silent and quite accurate. However, on the Tamron, I'm not sure if it was my copy, but in video mode I did experience a few issues, including some hunting and just general unreliability. I'm hoping they address these issues in a future firmware update, but in terms of stills, they both perform flawlessly. The bokeh you get on both of these lenses is adequate and nothing out of this world. You would expect the 2.8 to perform quite a bit better, but it's just really not the case, even though the Sony has 7-bladed aperture versus the Tamron's 9. But you can be the judge. Here's a look at the focal length of these two lenses to show you the differences. So you may not notice a huge difference on the wide side, but when it comes to zooming in, personally I do miss that extra 7mm when it comes to portraits and things like that. Here's some examples of some pictures that I've taken with both of these lenses. So as you can see, either is extremely capable and very sharp, with the exception of both of these lenses fully zoomed in, wide open in the corners. but I won't go into the details of the sharpness or the optics in this video. If you want to learn more about that specifically on each of these lenses, check out my full in-depth review on both. So both of these lenses perform very well, but for me personally, I'll give the performance edge to the Sony, which does have image stabilization and feels and performs just a little bit better in my experience, despite being an f4. So now let's talk about value, and here's where things get interesting. The Tamron at $900 American is an outstanding value. For a 2.8, you're basically comparing it to the G Master, which is over 2 times more expensive. And of course there are sacrifices, but for the money, it's going to be really hard to beat. The 16-35 f4 Zeiss comes in at $1,350 US, and yeah, it's a little bit pricey. You do get a few more features and conveniences, but if you are on a budget and every dollar counts, the Tamron's going to be nearly impossible to beat. So yeah, you guessed it. As far as value is concerned between these two lenses, the Tamron takes it. Oh, and speaking of value, the Tamron has a 6-year warranty. So wrapping up, hopefully I've given you a lot to think about, showing you some similarities and some differences between these two lenses because there are a lot. But in the end, you're going to have to decide what's best for you, and this video is just meant to be a guideline to help you make it easier. If you're still not sold on either of these two lenses and you want to know more, make sure you check out my full in-depth review of both. And as usual, here's my personal pros and cons. So that's it for this comparison between these two lenses, guys. I hope this video helped you out. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Drop your questions and comments down below. And if you want to pick one of these lenses up, if you're ready to buy one, I will leave an affiliate link in the description for you that'll take you to where you need to go to buy it. And like always, make mistakes, be yourself, and get out there and take some more pictures. See you in the next one.